Good day to all, and my Beti and UN75 India present talks with women of substance. Today we have Svetlana Pinto. She heads the CSR and communication of Novartis India, and maybe she does not have the air of being a woman of substance, but her work speaks for itself. So in conversation with her, Svetlana, good day to you. How are you today?
I'm very well. Thank you so much, Dr. Surisetti.
So what makes you feel proud of being a woman?
I think the fact that honestly, I've never really felt discriminated against, okay? And I think that could probably be because I come from a family which was very progressive, is very progressive. And my mother was the biggest influencer in my life because she never differentiated between her sons and her daughters. And we could do whatever we liked, just the same way my brothers could do whatever they liked. And I think that played a big role in shaping my personal life as well as my own career.
Okay. So in the corporate world where you are currently, is there a fair amount of discrimination in terms of how we treat our colleagues, or maybe how we pay them? What is the discrimination that you see, if you see?
So honestly, Novartis is a great place to work. And I have never felt discriminated in the workplace. And I don't see that happening with my colleagues either. In terms of pay, I don't think we're at a stage where there is pay transparency to be able to say whether someone else is paid better or worse because they're male or female. But, and we have a lot of opportunities for women. So we are really an equal opportunities employer.
Okay, but talking in general, leaving Novartis aside, what do you think? Is there some discrimination or no?
So I think there is. I'm probably blessed that I never experienced it in my life, okay? And if I can share with you, there was a time, very early in my career when I was actually doing an admin job, and I sat alongside the driver of a truck because we had to shift material. And I know my male colleagues were like, are you sure you want to do this? Are you sure you can do this? And I was like, if it's my job, sure, why not? And I just sat alongside the truck driver, and I didn't think that it was something that was not appropriate for a woman to do.
Yeah. So the meaning that the people who asked you the question, they had a different view about what a woman can do and what a man can do, I suppose.
That's true. That is absolutely true. And I think to some extent that mindset still persists in society even today. So, but I've never really felt that. So in the sense of my own work, even when people have asked me some questions and things like that, I've kind of stepped back and said, and let me share with you. So early in my career, I went to a job interview. And I've never had the practice of writing a prefix before my name. And so I think they assumed that I was male, and I got called to the interview. So I was sitting in this large corporate in their reception. And I noticed that people kept coming, opening the door to the reception, looking at me and going away. And after a while, someone came to me and said, sorry, we called you to this interview. We don't really want to hire a female. And we thought you were a male. I mean, I just looked at them and I smiled. I said, thanks for letting me know, because this definitely is a place that I don't want to work in.
Okay, and if you can disclose, not the company, but what was the profile of the job?
It was a finance professional. So I'd started my career in finance. So it was a finance professional.
So I don't see any reason why a woman is not required. It would have been their choice.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It was not something that a woman couldn't do.
Yeah. Any which way, even if it is not finance, like you traveled in a truck, there is nothing that a woman cannot do.
True.
It's not. Anyway, one more thing is like you say that if there is a discrimination in the society, is it not true that mothers play a great role in discriminating between the girl and the boy and say, you should do this, you should not sit properly, do this, do that. Do mothers perpetuate this?
That's true. And perhaps my own mother's experience made her do otherwise. And why do I say that? So I think experiences teach us two things, okay? Either we perpetuate the experience and we continue with that experience, or we decide we experience something and we decide that we will never perpetuate that experience with somebody else. So my mother did experience this in her own life, where she felt discriminated by her parents vis-a-vis her brother, who was younger than her. She was the oldest child. And, for example, if there was food cooked at home, he got the first choice to pick, the best piece of chicken or the best piece of fish and things like that. And in our own case, let me share with you that, my brothers felt discriminated against, and they were like, mommy always cares about her daughters more. So probably it was the other way around in our family.
That's equally bad, I suppose.
That's equally bad, yeah. But they felt that, but I don't think it was true. And they probably felt that because when they looked around them, they felt that, the sons were always given preference. So
they wanted to make good.
Absolutely.
Okay. So what do you think about the objectification of women in the OTT platforms that you see around today, or maybe even ads? Do you think that is something that leads to this?
Sometimes I think it's also up to the women. And, we should stop blaming the males for everything, okay? So, and I think that if I don't allow myself to be objectified, I won't be, right? And I can again share with you an experience early in my life where I experienced a case of, let's say, molestation in the workplace by a third party. And when I raised my voice against it, surprise, surprise, this had happened with the same individual, with many women before me, and they had all chosen to keep their mouth shut. Had they raised their voice, this wouldn't have happened to me. When I raised my voice, interestingly, all the males, without exception, were actually telling me that I shouldn't have opened my mouth. So there was someone who told me, you must be feeling ashamed of yourself. And I was I didn't do anything. So why should I be feeling ashamed? There was somebody else who told me, you know what, you sit and you work late and you leave late in the evenings. You shouldn't have done this because you don't know what repercussions this could have. There was somebody else who said to me, why did you make such a big deal about this? What about when you walk on the road? And I was like, for sure. When I walk on the road as a woman, I'm generally very aware of my surroundings. And I expect that in some places, I am safe and I should feel safe. But these were the kind of reactions that I got from the males. But there were one or two males who were very progressive. And my then manager, for example, he was extremely supportive, and he apologized to me and he said, this should never have happened to you. And I'm really glad you spoke up. So, so sometimes women are their own worst enemy.
Yes, that's right. That's right. But was the third party taken to task, or what did happen?
Yes, the third party was taken to task.
Okay. Last but not the least, let's assume a benchmark of 2030. And what do you think looks brighter in terms of women empowerment or gender equality anywhere, at homes or in workplaces? By 2030, do you see a change happening?
I think the change is happening, but it's slow. And perhaps it's up to the woman to accelerate that change. So, and each one of us can make a difference in our surroundings, So, I know that the way I speak to my house help or to other support staff, or even at the workplace, about telling them about what they should encourage their child to do, and how they can make a difference in their lives if they were to encourage their children. And again, not to discriminate, make no difference between your children, whether they are male or female. Finally, they're all your children. So it really is up to each one of us. Just last week I was sitting in a taxi, and I was talking to the taxi driver, and who was talking about his inability to pay his daughter's fees. And guess what he tells me? He says, the only reason I want her to get an education is because, she's going to go away and she's going to be, living in somebody else's house eventually. And that's why I want her to have an education. And the funny thing is, he said to me, I don't care if my son doesn't get educated. And so this was another extreme, right? And I tried to explain to him the importance of education and how education is a great leveler. So I think that thinking has to come across all sections in society.
And you think it will happen in the near future?
Maybe not 2030, but I'm the eternal optimist. So I'm hopeful that, yes, change begins with me, and each one of us can make a difference in other people's lives as well.
Okay. What happens to the girls in rural backgrounds where maybe the discrimination might be higher because of literacy levels being low in the parents? How do we empower them?
So here again, like I said, there are various opportunities to do that. And the first is, of course, through the education system itself. And second is also to create awareness among the rural folks, so to talk about, you have several nonprofits working in this area as well. And how can they make a difference? And how can the government make a difference? The government has a role to play as well. So change will happen. It will happen. It may be slow, but I'm hopeful that it will happen.
Thank you so much for talking to us. It was a pleasure talking to you. And Svetlana, I hope to see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Pleasure. And thank you for inviting me on your show.
And a happy Women's Day.
Thank you.
End the meeting.